It has been a while since I've done an Operation Protect the White Boy / white woman combination type of video occurring at the same time. But also, I think this is history right here, because I believe this is the first time that I've done an Operation Protect the White Boy / white woman video all in one, where it involved a couple. So in this picture, you see Susana and Paul Leifer. I don't know if it's Leifer or Leifer, but I'm going to just say Leifer because I believe that's probably how it's pronounced. If it's Leifer, it is what it is. Who are now entering into the Operation Protect the White Boy / white woman Hall of Shame, because these two out of Connecticut hosted a party for some teenagers, and there was a lot of drinking and alcohol involved. So that's already one red flag right there and one strike against them. The major issue, though, is that there was an incident which led to the unfortunate death of a teenager back in 2022 by the name of James McGrath. Now, here's where the Operation Protect the White Boy / white woman kicks in for them. They were only given probation for what occurred that day. I'm talking about the combination of throwing this party for these teenagers, the fact that there was alcohol involved, which means, the intoxication of a minor or minors, but more importantly, someone died under their care. Someone, ended up getting deleted under their care who was a minor. And after all of that, plus a bunch of other things, which I hope the article goes into, all that they received at the end of the day was probation. Mind you, this happened in 2022, and they just got the probation like in the last couple of days. By the way, I'm recording this video on January 11, 2024, and the article came out yesterday on January the 10th. What have I told y'all? That they will have sacrificial lambs even when doing things to their own. Because this James McGrath that ended up losing their life was PC and a teenager. So let me go ahead and get into this article coming from the NY Daily News. The Connecticut parents who hosted a drunken high school house party that preceded the fatal stabbing of a 17-year-old were sentenced Wednesday to probation for allowing underage drinking. That's it. Just for the underage drinking part, not the responsibility that someone did die under their care. I guess they figure, someone died, lost their life under their care, but because they weren't the ones that actually did it, then okay, we'll just give them probation. But at the end of the day, they hosted a party that had a bunch of minors there that involved drinking. You never know what that could lead to. That led to what unfortunately happened with this kid, or it could have led to someone, I don't know, driving under the influence. Now, that's the part that you should have really been worried about, because how did many of them get there? Some of them probably took an Uber, but some of them probably have their licenses and drove there, and without a designated driver to take them back to their wherever it is that they came from. What if someone got in a car accident and they lost their life that way, or worse, caused the accident with somebody else unknowingly, the person that they were under the influence, and caused them to get into an accident and unfortunately lose their lives? What were they going to say then? These were supposed to be the quote unquote responsible adults, and they were acting like teenagers themselves. Paul and Susana Leifer, ages 59 and 52, will have their cases dismissed if they meet certain conditions, according to the Connecticut Post. Those conditions include not getting arrested again in the next 2 years, completing 50 hours of community service each, making $250 charitable donations, and not hosting any parties that may include underage drinking. Again, more slaps on the wrist, because that can be easily doable. A party at the Leifer's house on May 14, 2022 ended in a fight, and some of the combatants met later that night down the road and brawled again. During the second confrontation, 17-year-old James McGrath was stabbed to death. Raul Valet now 18, was charged as an adult with murdering McGrath. He pleaded not guilty and rejected a plea deal in November of last year. According to police, or maybe back in 2022, it didn't specify a year. According to police, the Leifer's daughter invited 15 to 20 students from her school, St. Joseph High, to the party. Prosecutors said the Leifers realized the teens were drinking, but allowed them to continue partying. So they knew that they were drinking and they didn't stop them. Again, where's the responsibility here? These are so-called responsible adults, but they allowed these minors, again, minors, meaning none of them, as far as I can tell, were 18. None of them were old enough to drink. And they allowed it to happen anyway, which led to what ended up happening. The fight erupted when an uninvited group of students from a rival high school, Shelton High, tried to crash the party, according to police. The Leifers responded to the brawl by kicking everyone out, but the disagreement continued until a small group of teens met shortly afterward at a nearby house. McGrath, who did not attend St. Joseph's or Shelton High, but instead was a student at Fairfield Prep, was stabbed to death at the second scene. Val, a St. Joseph student, knew McGrath from outside school. The Leifers were charged with allowing minors to possess alcohol. Susana was charged with second-degree reckless endangerment after police said she gave one of the brawling kids his beer back. The families of McGrath and Val have also sued the Leifers in civil court. So now you have the families of the victim as well as the one who did the stabbing both suing these two in civil court. So I guess, to get some money out of them, because even though they are not getting what they deserve, they did get something. So there is something that they can get out of it. Probably won't be that much, because all they got was probation, which in my opinion is some BS, because they held, again, just as much responsibility for what happened to this minor than not. And that was the end of the article. I mean, complete and utter irresponsibility on their part, and all they got was probation. Just probation. Now, they mentioned that the wife had got some second-degree reckless endangerment, but apparently, to me, it sounds like they dropped that charge. It seemed to me any charge that they did have against them, they dropped all of them and just gave them probation. At this point, between the probation that they received as well as the conditions and requirements of their probation, they might as well just let them walk altogether. Because like I said, their conditions that has to be met under their probationary period seems to be something that can be very doable, and they only have to last under it for 2 years. So you're talking about in 2026 they'll be good to go, and this story will be even more swept under the rug than it is right now. Don't sit up here and pretend to tell me and insult mine and all of my audience's intelligence when we say PC privilege is real. Don't try to say that it is not, when it most definitely is. And you have a casualty and they have a casualty on their hands, because this is a PC person. And this doesn't sound like something that happened in the quote unquote the hood or in the ghetto, like they would like to have it always believe when something happens with us. This definitely happened in a suburb. And now look at what's going on right here. And ironically, I just did a video talking about how PC got upset at the actor Simu Liu and Issa Rae because they were making fun of PC people and the type of characters they would want to play, and they kept mentioning alcoholism. And what do you know? We have a story right here that involved what? Alcohol, that led to the what? Death of a minor. After these two right here, the two quote unquote responsible adults, allowed them to continue to party and drink even after they already had a minor confrontation. Imagine if they were being the responsible adults they were supposed to be. This could have been avoided, but it wasn't. And now a person has lost their life, a family has lost their loved one. Another family is going to lose their loved one, because they most likely are definitely going to serve some jail time, no matter how they plead. And these two can just continue to go on just with their, with their probation. They probably feel like they did nothing wrong either. They probably feel like, well, I mean, it's not like we did it, even though they, in a major way, are heavily responsible for why it led to the predicament that it is in right now.